Call the names. Wake the room. Wake the room. Wake the room! Lou, Rex, Pam Ray, Naomi, Afasiana, Babbler, Monarch Soul, Jojo, Grey Eyes, fill my eyes. Poets assemble. No masks, no manners. Say it plain, or say it broken. Monday night in the garden of enlightenment. Low light lit minds, every line got intent. Clock ticks crooked and the room turns vigilant. Quiet so loud you can hear what the tension meant. Then it slips after midnight, manners get murdered. Nice little masks get cracked by a word or a murmur. Twisted Tuesdays twist truth till it turns on its heel. Clean cut faces go strange when the dark gets real. You can feel that shit, that slick little slip when the grin stays sweet, but the eyes don't sit. Like the room grew ribs, like the walls grew ears, like the hush got hands and it's pulling you near. And the words don't rest, they press. Put a heel on the chest, leave a dent in the breath. Every line like a knock from the back of the brain. Like you came in one shape, you won't leave the same. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown and the soft don't dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whisper in your ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, Wednesday breaks, parts in the park, sink down the spine, half halo, half hazard, both hands in the light, in the yard of seduction, walks soft through the smoke, silk on the tongue with the blade in the joke, books and bards, wakes dust in the depth of the shelves, old ghosts lean out and start naming themselves in a craft and sullen, not the ache, gets a voice, pain stands up straight and makes silence a choice, then break on through when the devil gives way, when the masses sink, but the pulse says pray, echoes in the dark, oh hun, the fear, that thing with no name starts ringing in your ear. Say it, say it. Fill my eyes with poetry, don't water it down. Let it bite, let it bloom, let it burn through the crowd. Bad company grins like a bruise, dressed smart. And rhythm and rhyme puts a boot through the heart. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown and the soft don't dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whisper in the ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, some come shattered, some come slick. Some speak honey with a blade in it. Some sound velvet, some sound wire. Some walk in low and take the room higher. Some come holy, some come liars. That's the thing! This ain't filler for the dead space, no. This is a pulse with a pen, this is blood with an echo, this is breath to the backbone, ink for the crown, live mics, live nerves, truth laid bare in the round. This is the beautiful mess, the bruise and the bloom, the line that cuts clean and makes a little room. Late souls, wide eyes, all nerve in the dark, a room full of hearts beating hard through the dark. Wake the room, wake the room. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown and the soft don't dim. nothing more. Late night poets, when the clock slips past polite, we tell the truth. L&P, we love you. Stay frosty.
Hello and welcome to Twisted Tuesdays with a Twisted Sister and a Twisted Mister. I hope everybody is having a good day and a good week, and we'll continue to have an even better one to follow. Right now, my usual Twisted Sister, Fill My Eyes, is not feeling well, so hugs and prayers out to her. And I hope she feels better soon. And filling in for her is Robbie's Poetry. And hello, Robbie. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Busy day at work, but I'm got through it and now I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, sometimes busy can be good. I don't know if it was what kind of busy it was, but
It's torturous busy. I'm not gonna
torturous.
It's the last day before Canada Day, and I was solo.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, that's. I totally get that. I mean, it's like the same it'll be the same like with the 4th of July coming up here. Plus we have what's a huge rodeo, sorry. Well, those are fairly easy words to get mixed up, but we have this I forget what the name of the rodeo is, but it's in Spooner, and it's like been happening for over 100 years, and it's a big event, and like people come from all over the country to participate in it. So it's just the traffic and the stores all become like complete chaos.
Yeah. Well, I got Darth Vader beside me here, so.
All right.
All
right.
Darth Vader figurine.
Well, if any troublemakers show up, Darth Vader will keep them in check, and then he'll probably put them on his team. So.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, so but we've got a decent lineup of poetry for tonight. I want to say that we have like about 18 rights on the board, though I didn't get a chance to check the content.
Oh, your connection's blinking out there, Pam.
What's that?
You're blinking in and out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're fine now.
Okay. Yeah, there's not really anything I can do about that. I think that only happens because of the internet.
Yeah.
But if it continues to happen, I can drop and come back. That might help.
Okay.
But it was a pretty easy topic that I did end up opening to pre-writes. I just started thinking about, like tonight's topic is going barefoot. And I had been thinking about how, especially during the summertime, I used to be barefoot pretty much all the time. In the grass, in the mud, inside, on sidewalks. The only time I slipped on a pair of shoes was when I had to go into a restaurant or do some, I don't know, like anything where obviously shoes are needed to protect. Not so much anymore. Looked up quotes about being barefoot, going barefoot, or having bare feet, and found quite a few of them. And then the contest, given the time of year, was going a little slow, and I opened it to pre-writes, which actually quite a few people had pre-writes that absolutely connected very well with the topic. So that was really neat to see. You know, I don't know if you are, or if you ever have been a barefoot person, Robbie.
Well, actually, in the late spring and summer, I am always barefoot in the house. I'm barefoot right now, but
So am I. Ooh, we're barefoot together.
but yeah, I am, because in the spring summer, because I'm one of those people. I just don't like the feeling of constrictive clothing, and that someone could easily
Oh,
turn that
I
into a
totally
Wednesday
get
night
that.
thing. But yeah, I don't like the feel of. I like as much freedom of movement with me as much as possible. I'm a very kinetic person. I'm always biking in that. So yeah, the socks come off in spring and summer.
Yep. Yep. Oh, I totally get that. Really, honestly, the only reason I wear socks so much more now is because I think it's because of my diabetes.
Mm,
Um, like my feet are just more sensitive to cold,
yeah.
and so I find myself oftentimes when the weather gets a little chillier putting on my warm fuzzy socks. But other than that, yeah. And really, there's so many benefits to walking barefoot with Mother Nature. And I don't know, it's just, to me, obviously there's places you're not going to want to walk barefoot. Um, but if you can find a place where you can walk either wherever your favorite texture is, like grass or, mud, or, at the beach, um, that, I think that can be a very positive mental and physical experience.
Mhm. Oh yeah, I agree too. And I think I have a poem about that where it talks about my experience. I'll never forget when I was barefoot in the sand in Maui and I was watching the sunset. Oh, and the sand was nice and cool, like almost cold, and it was just like almost like massaging my feet. It just felt so good, and just wonderful experience.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I bet. Yeah. Well, I was definitely a feral child of the woods. That's for sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you and delving into tonight's poetry. I do hope Jean feels better soon. And but it's great to be able to continue tonight's show. And I'll I'll do my best to join you and Faisy for Parts and Parts Saint for at least an hour.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Um, yeah, well, I figure it's a nice trade off, and I try to do that, and
Mhm.
I got a good nap too, so that really helps. That really helps. And all right, well, let's get these bare feet walking into poetry. And that is not the poem I meant to pick up. All right, let's try this again. All right. There we go. All right. We have not, it is not a Maxophobia by Garathi K. Morthy. And go ahead, please, Robbie, and give that a read.
Okay. Traffic begins in my apartment premises with a fleet of spirits filling the elevator, then at the gate, and whenever the cars snail to let in fresh air at different points. Is that why we have traffic signals? I don't let the chauffeur switch on the air conditioner. No, not even the car freshener. It hastens the worming and chills the wet spine. spreading an intoxicating scent around, but it lets in more cold air from the air vent. I don't charge my phone when it dips to a low battery. What if his charger passes on a virus? My brain is a constant answering machine, habituated to answering queries of the bad and vice. The irony here is so striking. I heaved a sigh, chuckled as I wrote. Then last week, when I switched on the lift, it sounded different, and I let out a screech. I was startled when I saw the elevator itself swapped to a new. Oh, this teleporting, a bane to the globe. To live barefoot, not minding the world, is easier still if we aren't mere fools. I hope this simple poem reaches each mind. It's a personal share, nothing to mind. End poem.
Great read there, Robbie. And what a fabulous write by Gayatri K. Morthy. I have to say that I did have to look up amaxophobia, which is a fear of getting into cars. And actually, that the title alone, and then reading it a couple times, really helped me connect with it more. I used to walk all the time for miles, even in real cold weather, that other people wouldn't walk in. And I had so many people asking me if I was walking because my car broke down. Like you'd be like, "Hey, do you need a lift? Did your car break down?" It's like, "No, I'm just walking." And I think his title says that, like, no, it's I'm not walking because I have a fear of cars. I just like walking. Um and I thought there was I do think it is a poem I definitely will be reading a time or two more just to really process it. But I like how it speaks on the idea of the mind working different. How I feel like, especially the second stanza, part of what I'm getting from this um is the idea of walking being allowing you to think more about those things which inspire poetry. And I thought there were great lines throughout, but I especially liked, "My brain is a constant answering machine, habituated to answering queries of the bad and vice. The irony here is so striking. I heaved a sigh, chuckled as I wrote. Then last week when I switched on the lift, it sounded different, let out a screech." Very, like he really brings us into his thoughts and into the moment. So excellent, right? And very well done. And your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, it's always interesting to hear about a very specific state of mind that you haven't heard about before. And the thing about phobias and fears that have come to fascinate me more as I've gotten older is the realization of just how many there are out there, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and how specific they can be. And I don't like when people are like, "What do you mean you're afraid of balloons?" Oh, whatever. Like you just it's sometimes, especially I think those very very specific ones, the brain might be getting wired, or it's wired in some way that they don't have control over, and it's just like a very specific miswiring that gives them a very oddly specific phobia. And that it's kind of surreal to me when you have a phobia of something that genuinely can't harm you, like like with a fear of spiders, that's more understandable now. But I think when the brain gets wired in such an esoteric way that you're afraid of something that's literally an innocuous object, like a balloon, then that's fascinating to me. I mean, I feel bad for the person that's happening to them, but yeah, this poem reminds me of that a little bit because the fear of getting in cars is very specific, and it makes for an interesting poem to
It,
to hear about that. you know, that specificity of state of mind and what it's like.
It does. It does. One of the things that I was reading as I was reading about the phobia, and great comment there, Robbie, is that usually people who have a fear of getting into cars have a fear of losing control, of crashing. Like that seems to be what's connected with it the most. So I don't know if these are people who have previously been in accidents or, like any phobia, it's just connected with, how your mind thinks and processes. I don't know, but it isn't. Phobias are definitely an interesting subject. That is for sure. All right. So up next we have, get that posted, A Child of the Wild by Way Down Upon Joy. And it goes like this. I remember barefoot dawnings at the bay where nature shared all the wild of her belongings as I chose to linger there. Fiddler crabs with claws a-clacking, seagulls streaming clouds above, pods of dolphins puffing salt spray while the sun warmed me with love. The world would find I found my calling when I chose my last career, and now I choose to walk each morning where the wild works wonders clear. End poem. Oh, what an absolutely beautiful, beautiful write by Way Down Upon Joy. She wrote to the quote, "You learn a lot when you're barefoot. The first thing is every step you take is different," by Michael Franti. And she mentions in her AN, "I chose to be a park ranger late in life because of my love of nature that moved me as a very young child growing up in Florida. Now that I'm retired, now I'm retired and enjoying all that nature offers me each day." And Robbie, your thoughts?
Well, it's nice to hear this kind of take on being barefoot as a. That's the thing. It's a literal connection to nature. It's, you can't be more directly connected to nature than when you're walking on it, and it feels like her joy of it, which is nice to read about and nice to hear, and it's that tone, and it reminded me of how the one day where I was uh, literally the whole day I was doing nothing but photography. I was taking out all my dad's cameras, and I I went through the batteries of 3 cameras. That's how many pictures I was taking, and I remember quite vividly. Actually, I was wearing sandals and I didn't have socks. It was kind of like a little experiment. Like I thought I had read at that point about, like walking more naturally, like, massages your feet and that. And I just remember quite vividly that being a part of it was that I had the sandals on and with no socks, and like for the whole day I was almost barefoot, and it was a part of nature because I was going in all these parks and everything taking pictures. So this poem reminded me of how I had that one day where I was really just so connected because of my how I was walking with my footwear and then constantly being in nature the whole day.
Great comment there, Robbie. Um, yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that. And that sounds to me like a really fun day. I've actually had days like that in my life where I had a camera. There's actually one time when me and my sister and my friend took a road trip from where I live in Wisconsin to Chicago, Illinois, and we just pretty much stopped by like crazy roadside attractions. Like there was a giant cow, of course, and just took pictures of us being silly.
Trust me to
Um,
find the cow. You've got
yes,
like the cow radar, right? You
I
just
do. Yes. Oh, but there were just it was so much fun. Plus, I do like you like I love taking pictures of nature. But I can really this is another poem I swear I can so relate to. Um, I think even more so than the first one. Um, yeah, I love the rhyme and flow. I love the imagery. I our beaches aren't the same. Like, like when you grow up in Florida and you grow up in Wisconsin, you both have like, she's got this great big ocean. Wisconsin is just filled with a lot of lakes, but still, I did honestly, unless it was winter, or a cold autumn, I was barefoot, running around, in the woods or by the rivers as much as possible. So I really I love the title, A Child of the Wild. I think this is a great take on the chosen prompt. Just wonderful imagery, and I really enjoy and appreciate actually learning about more about Joy, learning that she chose to become a park ranger late in life, and because of her love of nature. So that is absolutely wonderful, and what beautiful imagery throughout. Um, and I thought there were great lines throughout, but I did especially like, I remember barefoot dawnings at the bay where nature shared all the wild of her belongings as I chose to linger there. Wonderful lines by Joy, and very well done. Yeah. So now, like, do you like do you kind of live like in when you where you live, Robbie? I know you live in a town, but is it like also that you have places like like yards or parks that you can find
Oh
like nice pictures of
goodness.
flowers and trees?
That's the thing. People don't realize, like, my town, my city, it's unique that way. It's 110,000 people, right? So it's a fairly big. It's a city. It's not a town. But the thing is, it's a very green city. Like where I live, I'm like surrounded by hedges, and it's like also, well, it's a green neighborhood generally. Like the green is in the name of my neighborhood. But that's what I like about where I live, because all the city amenities are there. I'm someone who likes to go out and go to events and that, but the nature is all around us. And like actually, whenever I go out to in spring, summer, and fall, when I go out anywhere, I go on my bike, and I use a trail here. It's called the McVicker Creek Trail, and it just winds through almost everything, and I can get to any place in town at least for the first half of town, because it's split into like two kind of municipalities, and I can get anywhere with the like in the same amount of time, or 5 minutes less, maybe even, than the bus. And I'm on these beautiful bike trails while I'm doing it. So it's not a urban jungle by any means, even though it's
Right.
yeah, even though it's a bigger city, even though it's 110, not a huge city, but it's still a city. It's a very green city. So, oh yeah, I'm just surrounded.
That sounds really nice. I mean, 1,000 what is it, 110,000 people seems like a lot, but
Mhm.
it's still like the fact that they have it set up to be a more green environment is really nice. All right, up next we have Mother's Call by Letters by Larry. And go ahead, please, Robbie, and give that a read.
All right. Mother's Call. Sarah walks barefoot through the streets of Rome, with sandals in her left hand and a warm palm in her right. Not a map, but the same dust sticking to her toes, stone underneath, keeping its own score. A phalanx of mothers with green scarves knotted at the throat, rehearsing a new grammar for March 24th. History holds a mirror 50 years back. In the southern corner of the world, white scarves pressed to hollowed faces circling the Plaza de Mayo, where boots ruled the roads. Other mothers, the same refusal to trade their children for flags. End poem.
Great read there, Robbie. Um, this is a beautiful write, and I really enjoy and appreciate the way she connected with the topic. If you wouldn't mind, would you go ahead and read the AN, starting with the stuff that below word count 97?
Right. Okay. On March 24th, 2026 in Rome, Israeli and Palestinian mothers walked barefoot through the streets, green scarves at their throats, calling for peace. Their movement is called Mother's Call. Walking barefoot became their signature. In Argentina, March 24th marks 50 years since the 1976 military coup, where 30,000 people were forcibly disappeared. The mothers of Piazza de Mayo walked in silence, white scarves on their heads, demanded answers about their missing children. Their persistence drew global attention and support. This poem traces the thread between these mothers asking for peace. I was almost going to say end poem, and it just said out of habit, end comment or end
I totally get that. I've done the same thing when I'm commenting and I read a part of a poem that's my favorite part, and I'll go end poem, and it's like, oops. But I had never actually heard of this before, this movement called Mother's Call. So I was really appreciative to have the opportunity to learn about this. And what a beautiful way to gather together. Like, I know walks are oftentimes, like, there's a lot of organizations that do walks to draw attention to their cause, but I really appreciate that this one, the mothers go barefoot together. And she wrote to the prompt, "Walk Barefoot is Sacred" by Michael Basie Johnson. Just the way the imagery in her poem is wonderful. The opportunity for me, and I feel bad that's been around for 50 years and I'm now just hearing of it. And thank goodness, though, I'm so pleased that Letters by Larry wrote this poem. It's always a sad thing when causes like this have to exist. Because you don't want the pain that to exist. But the idea of women standing and walking together to create a united force, I think, is such a beautiful thing. And I really love the attention to detail in this. But I especially liked the first two stanzas, and then also where it says, "In the southern corner of the world, white scarves pressed to hollowed faces, circling the Plaza de Mayo, where boots ruled the roads." Powerful lines and very well done. And Robbie, you did a great read of that. Your thoughts?
Well, a lot of the poetry tonight is definitely teaching a lot of new stuff. I didn't know about this either. And what I find sad is, as well as what you were talking about, is that sometimes stories like this don't get the coverage that they should because they're not like what might be regarded as flashy enough. It's like when they say like sex sells or violence sells or whatever, and that's true in media as well. And so I think sometimes stories like that can get a little buried. And I like the part about yes, not a map, but the same dust sticking to her toes and it's like her body is making the map, or making the trail of her adventures by, like, I just imagine her toes sticking to the dust and the dirt, and like leaving footprints, and that's like her trail. That, for some reason, I got such a vivid image of her, like her, especially like her big toe, hitting the pavement, and there's like, it's caked with dirt, and that, and it sticks to her toe, and it makes the imprint and leaves a trail. That really flashed in my mind for some reason.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Great comment there, Robbie. I have to say, I'm very surprised nobody's around. You know, like it must be because it's summertime. Although I don't know what Monty's excuse is because I'm pretty sure it's winter in Australia. So, yeah, I'm going to
Yeah,
give
it's
him a
8
hard
o'clock at
time
night.
about that.
Yeah.
But I do know that people actually listen on YouTube. So you know,
Well, I think maybe
I
that now we have, when you have that option, I found that there can be more listeners than you realize. It's just
oh,
that more are
absolutely.
choosing it.
And
Yeah.
that's always been the truth. There always has been listeners that you can't see.
Mhm.
But I do think now that we have that YouTube option, you're right that is, you know,
Mhm.
that there are the YouTube listeners, and that really helps. That really helps for sure. Um, and but I do also know that when it comes to summertime, people they make plans and they get out there. So, all right. Well, up next we have prompt 4, Mountain Walks by Bookworm Dave 227. And it goes like this. Saturday evening in May during the 80s, we gathered after a day filled with work. Being tired and hungry, we were made brothers. A fire lit the night sky as we learned more. Even then, I knew I wanted to emulate older scouts. Not sure they understood then. Maybe now they do. The role of being an older brother, an older scout, a mentor. I stood there many times practicing as the fires were built, as lines were rehearsed. No work for us, but we did work. Yes, we did. Fires were a prop, words were props, too, as well as prompts. Now the words and world I knew is long gone, memories from youth. Now stories we share to our adult children, hoping we can share with their children. And poem. I've got to see which prompt 4 is because I can't remember. It is Barefoot Travel Allows You to Get the True Feel of a Place by Sabrina Ward Harrison. And Robbie, your thoughts?
Well, I find that with the nature of today's poetry, well, like the prompt in that being what it is, it's giving a groundedness to the poetry. It's very, we're having a lot of very earthy experiences today, and a lot of, sort of, well, it said like memory. It says here memories from youth. There's a lot of kind of looking back, and memories and that, and this poem kind of continues the trend, and it's interesting to hear about that tradition with the Boy Scouts and that, because I that's one of those things I think a lot of people hear about in the background, or they're like, oh yeah, the Boy Scouts, oh yeah, they do that, and but they never really think that much about what they do, and how they do it in that. I always remember the Boy Scout and the Girl Scout cookies that are sold. That's one thing that's always a staple. It's always kind of there, and they have the displays, and you can get it, mailed or whatever, or it comes to your door. And I just remember that too, and it's nice to have a poem that looks at the experience of them a little more, because, as I say, it is one of those things that you kind of think about it, but you don't necessarily, yeah, you come across it, but you don't think about it deeper necessarily.
Right, exactly. To be honest, I wasn't even sure if Canada had the Boy Scouts or if they had like a and Girl Scouts or if they had a version of them. So, well, that was cool. That was cool. I was not in the Girl Scouts very shortly, but not long enough to make it a thing. But I know the Scouts was a very important part of so many people's lives from childhood even into adulthood. And you can definitely, you know, feel that in Bookworm Dave 227's poetry. I like the straightforward style. I like how he speaks on the idea that it teaches about connection with other people. Um, and great lines throughout. I really like where it says the role of being an older brother, an older scout, a mentor. I stood there many times practicing as the fires were built, as lines were rehearsed. Just wonderful lines by Bookworm Dave 227, and very well done. um, yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. I just found out that because like about twice a year, they do a cleaning, an inspection on the apartments to see, how clean you're keeping it. And the the apartment manager had told us the 6th, and she made a mistake, and it's actually like 9 a.m., between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. tomorrow morning.
Oh no! So you're gonna have
Yeah, well, thankfully, and I'm not saying my apartment is messy. I'm just saying it's that one inspection where they're like picky, so you want to have it, so I've got nothing real bad. I just got to get some dishes done, but still, I'm going to have to be doing it either tonight or probably like at 6 in the morning or something.
yeah.
Um,
You're gonna have to
yeah.
hide the chains.
Yes. Like I'll still be calling into the show, but the after midnight show, but I'll have to just figure that out. And you know what? If it's not perfectly clean, oh well. It's
Yeah.
Trust me, there's nothing about my apartment that looks like, like the Federal Reserve needs to be called or whoever.
No.
Oh, oh my goodness gracious. I tell you, sometimes you just get those curveballs thrown at you. All right. Let's see what we have next. And what I really like about the poetry that we're getting so far is that so much of it seems to really show the importance in people's lives in connecting with nature.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Absolutely. And up next, we have Kiss of Life by Eric Svensson. And go ahead, please, Robbie, give that a read.
Okay. Kiss of Life. Romantic pedantic by nature, cast away afloat in nature. Braided briar mind detangles, poisoned ivy thought, past gallstones. Vast strips of virgin land religiously walked in teenage years. Became acquainted with the sap that rose within. Creatures great and small ogled, a St. Francis in the making. Castaway adrift, lifted tilt, all time high in nature. Bare feet, butt naked, saving grace, earth energy absorbed. Romantic, pedantic protege of Mother Nature, grappling gray clouds in search of Father Heaven. A kid, not yet a billy goat, afloat in water, Ophelia farm boy, adrift between emerald willow tresses. Virgin tracts of land, still my mea culpa, tender blue dragonfly kiss, while Hamlet and Saint Francis embrace. Mercurial mind, gill netted, 63 quicksilver years, fish out of water, still untainted, land tracts, resuscitate. End poem. Huh. It says write a poem for a contest image prompt. Big points, everyone wins. I just noticed that out of the blue. Yay,
Yeah,
everyone gets
yeah.
points.
Well, that was the first contest it was written for. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. I liked this. I thought, and he connected with because my contest got open to pre-writes, and it was nice to see that so many people, including Eric, were putting in pre-writes that really connected well with the theme. Um, and he connected with the quote, if you're not barefoot, then you're overdressed. And that is unknown who the original source was of that quote. He also says in his AN, of Danish Dutch heritage, raised on vast cattle and corn farms in South Africa. So, it sounds to me like he spent a lot of his childhood barefoot and butt naked. I remember one time me and my cousins and my siblings decided we were going to go skinny dipping. Only we didn't think about the fact that, like, because we lived in the middle of the woods, but we actually had neighbors that were fairly close to us. So while we were swimming around butt naked in the lake, our prudish neighbors called my grandmother to report that we were naked.
Oopsie.
And we weren't even like, it wasn't even like we were like puberty age. I mean, we were young kids, but oh my goodness gracious. But yeah, we actually used to, before we had running water, we used to, like, during the summertime, the warmer months, we would actually bathe in the river or in the lake. I love the imagery in this. I keep saying this, but there's just so many of these poems I connect to, either because it's me now or because it's the nostalgia that I feel. And obviously, as I mentioned, you would think with my love of cows, I grew up on a big cattle farm, but I did not. My parents, very small farmers, goats, pigs, chickens, no, gardens, but no cows, you know. But I thought this had great lines throughout, and the whole thing gave me a smile. But I especially like where it says, cast away adrift, lifted, tilled, all time high in nature, bare feet, butt naked, saving grace, earth energy absorbed. Romantic, pedantic prodigy of Mother Nature, grappling gray clouds in search of Father Heaven. Wonderful lines by Eric Svensson, and very well done. And your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, I kind of laughed to myself because I thought someone was gonna probably go beyond feet at some point or another, and he went buck naked in this. So I said, "Oh, yeah, someone went there. Someone went past the feet." And there's a certain, almost, it's like a regard to Mother Nature, saving grace, good energy, good saving grace, earth energy absorbed. And I like Ophelia farm boy adrift between emerald willow tresses. There's this regard given to the beauty of nature and what it looks like. And I thought it was interesting that he ended off with mercurial mind gill netted, 63 quicksilver years, fish out of water still untainted, land tracks resuscitate. It's almost like he's saying that he's unspoiled, that he's always a part of nature, or that I could be misreading it, but that the technological world, doesn't make him like somebody that's outside of nature. They're just yeah, there's just that overall regard given to nature, both for its actual beauty and like how it and some like a little bit of descriptions of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, I get that too. The whole idea of connecting with nature through, walking barefoot, which I think is really one of the emotional and spiritual benefits that I was talking about, is, that idea of being able to connect so much with nature. Um, all right. Let's see here. Now the question is did I grab the next poem? No, I did not, but I will do that now. All right. All right. Placing it in the group, then placing it in YouTube. Um, all right. So, oops, got to refresh. We have Barefoot Bridge. Oh, sorry, Barefoot Bridge Walks by Mermaid. A beach village, coastal hung moon, barefoot bridge walks, sand imprint toes. Sunset lights the horizon best, sea spray sensors full of summer. Can you hear the waves ticking time like teething beads to calm babies, catching lost breaths, stuccoed in silent, rare opulence and poem? And your thoughts, Robbie?
It had that that kind of the that footprint, that very specific kind of footprint, sand imprint toes. And there's something I find especially about that, like if the very dirt is sticking to your toes, it's like it the image to me has profound connectivity of the earth, because the earth is leaving. You're not just leaving an imprint on the earth; it's leaving an imprint on you. It's leaving a part of itself on you. So it's nice to see that again, that image, and it's nice to see the earth with other elements, like with the water here, sea spray sensors full of summer. It's so beautiful when you have a sunset like that, where you've got the sea is splashing at the edge of the shore, and you're hearing it whoosh in and out, and the it's nice that the waves are. It says that they're ticking time. It's that's another way of grounding to nature, is when the rhythms of nature are what are keeping you, or are keeping time for you. That's how you're perceiving time. I It's interesting that we perceive that, but we don't know. We're not always aware of it. Um I my mind freaked out one time when I was in university. I was there for the whole day, and all the classes, they were like completely inside the building. So there's like, you couldn't have a window because there would be no sun to point it out to. And so for like 6 hours, I had classes or whatever, and then it was a shorter day. So by the time I went out, it was dark, and it's like, and like some brain part of my brain was, what happened? What's going on? Why do I feel so weird? And it's like, oh my god, that's right. I didn't see absolutely any transition between day and night, absolutely none. And when I realized, I was like, oh my god. And yeah, I was shocked at just how much my brain freaked out that it didn't have that visual marker of the transition from day to night. It's quite a it's a pretty profound experience, actually. showing your body, showing you how your body works.
Connects with a poem. Um, and this is a beautifully profound write. I have to say, first of all, that I have to, and great comment there, Robbie. I have to say that, first of all, I really like the form. There's a consistency in tone. Also, I wasn't sure, but I went and counted, and each line has 4 syllables, which, although obviously not always necessary in poetry, I do appreciate that. I do appreciate the effort put into the work put into a poem when you have a consistency in syllable count per line. um, it's really neat how this pre-write, it connects well with the original prompt, which was the word bridge, but it also connects well with the idea, the theme of going barefoot, especially in that first stanza. A beach village, coastal hung moon, barefoot bridge walks, sand imprint toes. Wonderful lines, wonderful imagery. I feel like for each of us, there's a place that speaks to our souls, and the imagery and the word choices here has it feeling like this is a place that speaks to Mermaid's soul. And besides the first stanza, I also really like catching lost breaths, stuccoed in silent, rare opulence. Um, this poem definitely has a great use of nice, gentle use of alliteration, and is very well done by Mermaid. All right. Can you hear the music the boys are listening to?
Me? No.
Okay, as long as you can't hear it. And
It's like, come on, boys, I'm doing a radio show here.
yeah, exactly. Not that I could ask them to turn it down too much, but maybe a little. But no, it's not so loud that it bothers me. Like I can listen to the music and be doing the show at the same time. I just wasn't sure how it was. Plus,
Yeah.
they're honestly thinking, if only mom wasn't talking about her poetry, we could
Yeah.
enjoy this music.
Why does mom have to be talking about poetry? Jeez.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, up next we have The Crescents of Her Feet by Moss and Memory. And Robbie, go ahead and give that a read, please.
All right. I love that title. Crescents of Her Feet. Oh, wondering where this is going to go. Laid down by passing rapids, pooling in an eddy to receive her. A cushioned bed of alluvium and mire, velvet soft against her calloused toes. She eased her toes into its story, a reminder that beneath the button collar she was feral, born of the earth, sister to the sap-laced alder, cousin to the river, a force like canyon wind, gentle as the moss that softens stone. In small steps she met the edge, rooting in the fringe, playing in the riparian sedge as it teased the crescents of her feet. Joy rising as untamed laughter, welling into tears, falling as treasure back to source. She felt like life, raw, unsupervised, moving through her purchase, loosening the boundaries of skin, until river and woman, mud and memory, know the same beginning and poem.
Great read there, Robbie. And what an amazing write by Moss in Memory. I really appreciate that she wrote something new for the contest. And she also wrote to the quote, "To walk barefoot is sacred." Amazing imagery and metaphors. I really like how this speaks on the spiritual experience of connecting with nature, and the idea that oftentimes the most raw part of ourselves comes out, you know, at that time when we find ourselves barefoot, and you know um, allowing the energy, the sacred energy of Mother Nature to almost like flow through us. I really liked that second stanza. She eased her toes into its story, a reminder that beneath the button collar she was feral, born of the earth, sister to the sap-laced alder, cousin to the river, a force like cannon wind, gentle as the moss that softens stone. I mean, and but all the way through, there's just amazing lines. But that particular stanza really spoke to me. So excellent write by Moss in Memory, and very well done. And your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, it's interesting that I mentioned crescents because sometimes as a writer or like an artist in general, you become a little obsessed or a little preoccupied with a very specific idea or shape or something. And for me, it's been crescents and like crescent moons, that sort of thing. I don't know why. It just is what it is. So it's interesting that that came up in this poem, and this reminded me of how you have the experience of stepping into a piece of art or an experience, and that's something else that I've been thinking about too, because of I want to write a poem where, because I saw it in a video game actually, where there's like a magical painting and someone stepped into it, and you literally stepped into the world of that painting. Like there's an entire world in that painting, and you stepped into it once you stepped into the painting. And this poem a little bit has the feeling of that, where she's literally stepping into like an experience of nature. It's not just that she's walking along, but it's like she's stepping into like a framework of a vignette of nature, and that really gives it an interesting energy to it that I really like and appreciate.
Oh, absolutely. I have to agree. And I've always enjoyed that theme that you were talking about, the idea of stepping into a world when you step into a painting. Um, I think that's such a wonderful idea. Um, and um, oh, hold on, Robbie. All right, sorry about that. I'm back.
Okay.
Um, all right. So up next, we have Feet and Shoes by David Meyerhoff. And let's see. Yes, you read the last one, so I will give this a read. The head thinks great and deep thoughts. The heart feels with soul and passion. The liver rages, the spleen bleeds. The adrenals give us energy. The kidneys character. All that define us give us identity. Gets top billing and all the acclaim. Lost in this exclusive club is the means to get these star players to the places they need to go to perform and shine. Enter the feet, smelly, itchy, and far away. They bring all to the great dance of life. Hence, we must honor them with shoes of distinction. And poem. I don't know. Oh
It
my
is.
gosh.
I like that too. That was yeah. I got
So
mixed up for a second. I almost grabbed my coffee and was going to speak into it like it was my mic. I was saying, no, no, because my coffee and my mic are right beside each other.
uh-oh.
Yeah,
So your thoughts on this poem?
yeah. I found it humorous too. I like the idea of feet not being that happens in things in scenarios sometimes where it's often the most unglamorous thing or like almost the dirty thing that carries you along, right? It's like in nature when you have bugs that do the dirty work that nobody else will, and they're considered generally gross and that, but like the ones that help to decompose bodies and that, but without them, we things would be staying around and that kind of feels not to that degree, but that kind of feels like what the feet are giving regard are given regard as here is they're not as glamorous, they make contact with everything, of course, in the day, and they get especially sweaty and smelly and that, but without them we wouldn't be able to get where we want to go in that, and so it's they're given their due, and I enjoyed the poem for reminding me that there are objects and parts of the body and that yeah, that aren't so glamorous, but they're necessary, and they do what they do often without thanks. It's a thankless job being a foot. So it's interesting artistically, poetically, when something that doesn't have too much glamour gets its regard. Oh, pen dropped off, folks. Oh, oh, there she is. Okay. Back, Pam?
That I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah. I just was having so much problems that I had to drop and come back. Um, but I thought this had really strong imagery. I think the ending does make a really good point. While it is nice to be able to go barefoot and there is benefits to it, we also need to take care of our feet, and take part of taking care of our feet is knowing when to put on shoes and knowing what the proper shoes are for that time. I like how he gives credit to so many different aspects of the body, but makes us how important the feet are. Um, I will say, if if nothing else, wipe off your feet or do. I learned years ago how important it is to take care of my feet. I used to actually have the most horrible cracked feet, and it just became painful to walk. And because I don't drive, that's not an option for me.
Yeah.
And so I really have learned over the years how important it is for me, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, but for me to take care of my feet. But I do really like how visceral the imagery gets. His attention to detail and like I said, how he does point out that there are times like that we do really need to take care of our feet, and sometimes that does mean finding the right shoe. Um, so really thoughtful right shared by David Meyerhoff, and very well done.
Well, it's a
And
really a
Robbie, I
blessing.
wrote out your comment was absolutely fabulous, as it usually is, but I honestly just could not hear it. So,
No worries. I was gonna say it's a blessing when you find that one right shoe. I have Stride walkers that I found that they fit me. Like I remember the very first time I tried them on, the person that helped me with them, she said, "Oh, they're like," she said they're like Cinderella slippers. I'm like, yes, I feel like a princess, and they fit me so well that I actually have them on file at the my local store, and I get funding once a year for like work related expenses, and so every year they have it on file. I'm like, okay, order me two pairs of Stride walkers, one for work and one for everything else, and I'm able to get it with that allowance, and they give it to me, and yeah, like it's so important to me that I actually have taken the time to give them my name, say, okay, these are my shoes that I like. Give me these Stride walkers, and yeah, so it helps so much when you
oh,
find that.
it really does. It really does. I would never, say that shoes are not needed, because honest to goodness, especially like you said, the right pair of shoes and I mean, you're a lot like me in that, yes, you have a bus system,
Mm,
but you oftentimes walk or ride your bike, and in which
yes,
case, yes, definitely you need a good pair of shoes.
especially when you have
Um,
wide feet. It's hard. I have 10 and a half wide feet, and it's hard. It's hard to buy for wide feet. And so if you find something that fits wide, then you better go for it.
right, right. Oh, exactly. Exactly. I feel like I have feet like a hobbit. I mean, it's not to that extreme, but like I have like a friend who's 5'10" and I'm 5'4", and my shoe size is only like a half inch or a half size smaller than hers. Um, I'm like, I'm a hobbit. Except for I'm pretty sure hobbits are actually like 4 foot or something like that. So, but and up next, we have Harvest Moon by Macris. And Robbie, go ahead and give that a read for us, please.
Okay. Times keep no clock might dare, as colors pulse beneath the air. The surge of breath of night's inhale that break its whispers soft and pale. Evening spills into the sea, a dark ink night's new tapestry. Our moon this eve, a ruined bloom, bleeds softly through its crimson tomb. A bloodied eye is closed in sleep, stained through skin of darkness deep. And waiting there amongst the foam, stands as though the shores her home. Barefoot in verse of shifting sand, sea and salt ebbing from her hand. Her dress, a blush of drifted white, collecting lost bits of ember's light. Strands of flame in smoldered hair ignite the burn, the evening air. Her tides crash and make things bend, yet waves forget that they too end. Perhaps she's what seas now dream when time unravels at the seams. Broken rhyme the moon once knew before the skies had split in two. The tide moves on and a moment frays as time now swallows whole our days. As dusk of the dream withdraws from beyond the reach of mortal laws, yet still the ocean keeps her face in every wave that takes her place, reminds us that someday we die, and murmurs low where lost things lie. and poem.
Beautiful read there, Robbie. And what an absolutely amazing, epic write by Macris. Wonderful imagery, great rhyme and flow. In her AN, she says pre Christian Celtic goddess Brigid, often revered as a triple goddess aligned with fire, water, and inspiration, while associated with poetry, healing, nature, fertility, spring, smithing, and protection, and whose lore profoundly merged with St. Bridget of Kildare within the Catholic faith. She's associated with the sacred flame, holy wells, and the first signs of spring light. She is known to be a goddess of both fire, flame, and the forge, and water, sacred healing wells. I really enjoy and appreciate that information. I do think some of that I actually already knew, but I feel like that bit of information is a refresher course. And, sometimes, like, for me personally, I'm not a big fan of when people over explain their poems, but I think things like this can be important to understanding the poem. But the great thing about this right is even without the an, you get a feeling of a woman of power. You get a feeling of connecting with the force of nature that is the sea, and the force of nature that is the moon. This has amazing imagery. It's beautifully epic. I'm such a huge fan of poetry that has to do with myths, with legends. I just recently wrote a poem about the inspired by the sword of Damocles. I know I'm slightly pronouncing that wrong, but and I don't know, just like when you bring the idea of a spirituality, especially an ancient spirituality, um, and it's fascinating to me. I've been actually listening to, again, it's just been a kick of mine to listen to a lot of YouTube channels that have talk about mythology or the older fairy tales. um and I like that there's a sense of reverence in this, right? And there's great lines throughout. But I especially like barefoot in verse of shifting sand, sea and salt ebbing from her hand, her dress a blush of drifted white, collecting lost bits of embers light, strands of flame and smoldered hair ignite and burn the evening air. Her tides crash and make things bend, yet waves forget that they too end. Wonderful lines and very well done. And your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, you've got me. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, when you've got the triple goddess in there, that's you've got me. I love Gaelic, Celtic mythology, and if there's anything that is Earth centric, mythology wise, it's Gaelic. It's so more so than any other mythology. I think it's it's Earth centered, and that I think that makes it beautiful, and it has a bit of an almost cyclic feeling, which a lot of that myth does, and I just felt it was very elemental. I could really feel the earth itself in all its manifestations, and it it felt like it had followed well the general tone of Gaelic sort of fare, where there's like a irreverence, but also a power. You're feeling the power of nature. It's something to be respected, and so that really comes through well in this poem, and I really enjoy for that since since I can remember, mythology wise, I've been utterly obsessed with Oriental, especially Japanese, and Celtic mythology. They just monomaniacal obsessions for me. I can't get enough.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. Um I will say right now that there's this particular channel I'm listening to, and I forget the name. I think it's Archaic Mythology, but I could be wrong about that. So I'll have to look it up after the show or sometime tomorrow. But right now, and he covers all kinds of mythology, including Norse, Celtic, like all over. And he does it in series, usually, and also like Greek mythology. And he does it in series. And the series I'm listening to right now is actually the Arthurian Legends, where he's actually talking about each individual knight that was named that in the legends. And so I find that fascinating. But yeah, the there's something so beautiful about the old religions where it was about connecting with nature and having a respect for nature. So, and up next we have Shoes, Shoes, Glorious Shoes by Monty G25. And let me make sure I posted it in YouTube. Yes, I did. And it goes like this. Mummy, if God gave me feet, why do I need to hide them? I run around when they're bare. Mummy, do all people wear shoes except when they go to the beach? And that's when nobody seems to care. Mommy, do desert aborigines have hard feet? I see pictures of them without any shoes on, and they go over rocks and their feet don't bruise. Mummy, when I get up, which shoes do I wear? I look in the cupboard and there's lots in there. I've got that many. I just don't know how to choose. Mummy, are you ignoring me or are you being selectively deaf? I need real answers so I can get on with my life. Mummy, I'm lost. What should I do if I put on the wrong pair of shoes? I know I will get into a whole lot of strife. Baby, the reason you have lots of them is so that you can have choice every day, and Daddy won't care. He thinks that's okay. We must keep turning them over just to be sure, else he will see too many shoes on the wardrobe floor. It's a woman thing that most men simply don't understand, that you can never have too many shoes, else life would be so bland. Maybe it's a time we started to throw, maybe it's time we started to throw some of your old pairs away and we can replace them with new pairs at the shop today. But we don't want Daddy to know what's going on. As far as he's concerned, there is nothing wrong. And baby, here's the absolute fabulous news. You can never have enough shoes. End poem. Oh, that was absolutely fabulous and clever. Let's see. He was inspired by prompt two, though I think mainly just the topic, which was if you're not barefoot, then you're overdressed. But what I absolutely love, besides the poem itself and the humor in the poem, is he says, someone has to present the contrary argument. Even if I am a male, a collection of shoes is the meaning of life. It's what my wife told me. So who am I to argue? What do you think of that, Robbie?
Someone told me a odd and kind of hilarious story where she had a boyfriend that, but like whenever he came over, a pair of shoes would go missing. And one day she confronted him about it, and he was stealing her shoes. And she says, well, why didn't you just ask for them? And I said I said to her, oh, you're a very liberal friend. Most people wouldn't be that okay with it. They wouldn't be just like, oh, I'll just ask if you want them. No, they'd be like, oh, geez, you're my boyfriend and you want my shoes? Oh, so that just cracked me up, and it was my friend to a T that was her reaction. It's like, why didn't you just ask? So, anyways, sometimes guys want shoes too. I'm not going to judge one way or the other. But
My only thing, I will say, my only thing that is hilarious, but my only thing in that situation, if that was me, I would be perfectly fine with my boyfriend, if I had a boyfriend, wanting to wear women's shoes, but he'd have to buy his own because I do not want mine stretched out. So that would be my only concern.
Yeah. It's not the same if it's not your shoes, darling. But anyways, yeah. But yeah, I like the sing-songiness of this. Sorry, I'm just trying to not to crack up anymore about that story. That was funny. But yeah, a nice sing-songiness to it, and it had like because it had a fable, I think, to it almost, or like a lesson, and then maybe that's why they went for that sing-songy rhyme scheme sort of a thing. And yeah, it is I like when kids ask questions that, because they don't have their filters or egos in the way yet, they just ask, and I like some of the hard asked questions here. Do desert aborigines have hard feet? I see pictures of them without any shoes on, and yeah, it's just a blunt question, not blunt in the way of being obnoxious or rude or anything, but just not being afraid to ask a question that might seem odd to some people, but you just want to know, and that to me is very much a childlike sort of question to ask, and I think that it had that innocent, childlike tone all throughout here, and yeah, I really enjoyed that the pragmatism of the questions and how directly they're asked.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I enjoyed that too. Great comment. I have to say, I wonder if that image is actually his wife's shoe collection. That would be funny. Or like one third of her shoe collection. Yeah, I really like that this was in the child's voice. I actually thought it best like that this one landed on my read. And not that you couldn't have pulled it off, but I feel like I don't have to raise my voice as many octaves to get a child's voice as like someone like you with a slightly deeper voice would have to do. Um, but I too really enjoyed the questions from the child, and I think that's such a wonderful sign. Curiosity is such a wonderful sign of intelligence in children. But I will say that because I was a why, like I had to know when I was a kid. I had to know the why of everything. And I remember hearing that frustrated tone in my mother's voice. And after I had kids of my own, and I had kids that were just like me, always asking questions, I understood it. Like it is a wonderful thing, and it is just one of the delightful things about kids. But as a parent, it can also be just oh so frustrating. But I did like the questions asked by the child, and then I like how the last stanza is the answer from the mother, and that's where the humor really comes in. Like her teaching, I'm guessing her little girl. It could be a boy though, could be a boy, but her saying, "Hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with having a large collection of shoes, and you know what, Daddy gets it. Daddy completely agrees with it. But you know what? We don't have to talk to him about it a lot." But I thought this was a great counter response with delightful humor and very well done for sure by Monty G. All right. Let's see. Up next, we have The Barefoot Drunk by Ima Rima. All right, Robbie, go ahead and give that a read.
Yeah, sorry for the slight delay there. I just had to do something quick. Okay, here we go. The barefoot drunk. He often likes to go barefoot while drinking, a bottle in hand. Then, in due course, not staying put, goes walking round, arms waving grand, losing grip on the bottle that hits the floor and smashes into broken pieces of glass, strewn flat, which in his bare feet he walks through. When from his drunken stupor he awakens some future time ahead, he'll feel how sore his feet can be, see many cuts all bloody red. Oft while drinking he takes us off, at him barefoot. We shoes just scoff. End poem.
Great read there, Robbie. Of usual classic Ima Rima style. Wonderful imagery. I really like how visceral this is, how straightforward, and I really appreciate the use of personification and how this poem is written in the voice of the shoes. I see the humor in this, but it also kind of makes me think of how sad it makes me that when people get so drunk, they make such poor decisions. Like I constantly see on the side of the road, like beer bottles and other alcohol bottles that people have most likely thrown out of their cars, which gives you the idea that first of all, not only are they littering, but most important, they're probably driving drunk, which is even scarier to me. But yeah, to me, this poem really speaks on the poor decision making that can happen when you overindulge with an alcohol. So excellent write by Ima Rima, and very well done. And your thoughts, Robbie?
Yeah, I definitely agree that, and that's the funny thing is like the barefoot thing is kind of. It's funny how with being barefoot it can represent freedom, but on the negative side, it can be like, oh my god, he doesn't even have shoes on, and he's walking around like a messy apartment or apartment with like glass on it or something, and it can represent kind of the opposite or a negative thing where someone's just so reckless that they don't even have their shoes and socks on when they should be. And I like that it was written from the point of the view of the shoes. That is a point of view we don't often see or hear too much. And it's pretty bad when the shoes have contempt for you. If your own shoes have contempt for you, you're not very well off. It's like, that stupid jerk. Oh, he's getting drunk again, and he's taken, he's taken us off. What's wrong with him? Why won't he keep us on? And I
Right.
like that. I love the fact that the shoes scoff. It really drives it home that this guy is not making good decisions. Your shoes are
Yeah.
mocking you, sir.
Yeah, it's time to get help, you know. But absolutely. And great comment there, Robbie. Your comment did make me think how it's been nice how there's been a variety of approaches to the subject for tonight. Like you said, both the positives and the negatives seen in going barefoot. So, interesting stuff for sure. All right. Up next, we have another forest poem by Orange Sage. I walk where leaves comfort my soles and branches embrace me, blossoms gentle as forest air tumble into my wildly combless hair. A narrow, untamed path leaves me, goes on everywhere else, or perhaps it has stopped to find itself. I play through fern, emu grass, deep into the forest's rib cage, climbing over fallen tree trunks, following bird calls and the sound of water trickling into an almost hidden pool. Am I the first to sit here in dapples of leaf shadow, soothing my feet in wild water far from the city? I begin to believe cities no longer exist. End poem. And she too was inspired by To Walk Barefoot is Sacred. And Robbie, your thoughts?
Well, this poem is interesting for how it reflects on the conversation that we had when you were asking me about my city, because we have here the poem talking about how, let's see, at the end, I begin to believe cities no longer exist, and it reminded me of how with my city there's a bit of a rare balance with that, where it is a city, but you're in a city where parts of it you could go barefoot if you wanted to, in a way, or like the nature is still there. um and this has a bit of a, I wonder if it's perhaps yearning, or I just hear like the call of the wild, sorta, or the well, it says blossoms gentle as forest air tumble into my wildly combless hair. And this poem kind of made me yearn a bit, because I don't know, it's like in a lot of ways my life is a lot more free in that, but I just find that for some reason I get a lot into the situations where I'm like having like everything's kind of put on my shoulders, that sort of thing still. And it'd be nice to be more free of that. And this poem reminded me of that, of the state of being where you really don't have the obligations, or you're not like, especially like propping other people up, even though it's like more like a people thing. This poem, and its tones, it reminded me of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful comment there, Robbie. Um, I thought this was beautiful, amazing imagery. I had to look up emu grass because we don't have that around there. And with the orange sage being from Australia, that makes sense. It's interesting how people can be from different parts of the world, and there will be differences. Like, we don't have emu grass, but I can so relate to this poem and how it speaks on, that being just feeling free in body, mind, and spirit, and the idea of connecting with nature. I was actually talking to a friend earlier today, and we were talking about, because on Saturday I had another friend come to visit, and we went over to my daughter's where the motel that she lives at, which they allow you to do like grilling in the parking lot, which is really nice. And so we were grilling outside, but she doesn't really have much for furniture. So I was sitting on a bench, not a bench, sorry. I was sitting on a bucket with a pillow as a cushion. And oh my gosh, my back hurt so bad after we were done. But I was like talking to my friend today about how it's like back when I was younger, growing up in the woods, and we were like, I don't know, like we would just sit on tree trunks and, whatever the ground, it was whatever you could find was a perfectly comfortable seat. I thought this just had wonderful imagery. I like how it does speak, as I think you were in part saying, Robbie, on the idea of being able to get away and forget about the troubles of life, and great lines throughout. But I did especially like that second stanza. A wonderful write by Orange Sage, and very well done. All right. Gonna grab the next poem. Um, it's just fabulous to me how many pre-writes are truly connecting, because you never know with pre-writes contests, you know.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. That the pre-writes have been like lining up so well.
Yes, yes, exactly. And up next we have Barefoot by Visago. And go ahead, please, Robbie, and give that a read.
Oh, all right. Okay. Barefoot. I started running at 10 months. Not walking, running. That's what my mother said. Shoes were never my thing. The second she couldn't see me, they came off. She'd sigh. Another pair gone, lost somewhere between home and the forest. I wanted dirt, mud, pine needles, wet grass, cold stones. I wanted the world against my skin. People complained rocks hurt. Good. They're supposed to. You don't just feel them under your feet. You feel them all the way into your bones. The force telling you where to step. Grass, that's different. Run through it barefoot and it feels like the earth is breathing with you. When night came, I'd disappear. Moon above, forest around me. I drop onto all fours, hands in the dirt, feet gripping earth. Not playing, not pretending. For a little while, I was wolf. Nothing mystical, nothing magical, just instinct, just freedom, just me. Even today, if nobody stopped me, I'd kick off my shoes without thinking and run until there was nothing left between me and the earth. End poem.
Great read, Robbie. And what an amazing write by Visago, who I believe also wrote something new for the contest, which I really appreciate. And this is so spot on. It really connects with the theme and the chosen prompt, which was barefoot travel allows you to get the true feel of a place. Um, I really like this. The imagery is great. I like the short, impactful lines. Um, the straightforward style that has it starts out with that sense of nostalgia, and then brings us in the end to the idea that this is still the person they would love to be. That unfortunately sometimes society rules and adulthood interferes with that. That first stanza really made me think like about my second born. My firstborn was a late talker, late walker, but oh my goodness gracious, my second born, it was like I swear by a year, and I'm probably slightly over exaggerating, but it felt like it. It was like running and talking in full sentences. Um, and but this has great imagery. I love the imagery of I wanted dirt, mud, pine needles, wet grass, cold stones. I wanted the world against my skin. And then the stanza after that, not the whole thing, but I mean I love the whole thing, but I'm just going to quote this. People complain rocks hurt. Good, they're supposed to. You don't just feel them under your feet, you feel them all the way into your bones. I mean, and that is so true. Like people, and this doesn't just have to do with going barefoot, but people always want to be 100% comfortable. They don't want to feel the reality of nature. They won't want to feel the reality of life. I think this has strong lines throughout and is very well done by Visago. And your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, yeah, I agree with the people wanting to be too cushy in that now. And they really do forget that some things are supposed to hurt. Uh, I'm thinking of like if you did a sport and if you expected it not to hurt, that would be silly, right? And I like the idea of someone who's just right away. I want my shoes off, like just as a kid. And sometimes as a kid, we have a distinct sort of impress upon us of something. Uh, or like we have a certain characteristic that shines through. Like for me, it was more mental, and it was like I was kind of always I was always a talker in that too, and I've always had a very like kind of vibrant and aware mind. Like when I had my first memory, it was trippy. I said to myself, "Oh, this is my first memory. This is my first moment of consciousness. I should mark this down as my first memory." And I think about that now as I get older. I was like, kids don't think like that. How did I think like that? What prompted me, my brain, to think so adult like in that moment? So the poem reminded me a little bit of that because of how it spoke on the one thing that he wanted to do right away, which is to just get these socks, get these shoes off my feet. And I like that he narrated that experience of his life, that that it's such a part of him that even as a kid he just wouldn't have it, right? And it did have a nice narrative sort of feel to it, like the kind of a feeling of this is my story.
Yes, yes, exactly. And great comment there, Robbie. Um, all right, let's see what we have next. All right. Up next, we have, oh, I better put it in YouTube also, so give me a moment to do that. And all right, we have Barefoot on the Purple Bridge of Dream by Patty Mike. Under the moon crescent, foot bare in hand, sex and candy dressed in honeysuckle sweat, tasting her dandelion's dandy. She waltzes down on purple bridges, along broken boulevards, set arays the rising dream, scorching, painted red, sky blues, ignited flight lost, blinded sight plucked out from sockets beaming. 'Twas a sea beast with hungry teeth waits, feasted on young lovers, saline stain, swallowed lily frogs and fireflies, hymns depart, burning thy ears, caught the worm deader. End poem. And I see it makes sense the way this is written, because it was originally written for an abstract painting. It feels quite abstract. But your thoughts, Robbie?
Well, I always find it interesting when something is written to reflect abstract in a painting, because it can be a challenge to do that where it is abstract but not so abstract that you get lost in the poem. And the thing is, yeah, it's a unique challenge for a poem when it's abstract, because like with a painting being abstract, you can kind of get your own feel of it or derive a bit of your own meaning because it's a visual media. But with a poem, you can't really do that. Like the meaning, there has to be an apparent meaning, right? Or most of the time, that's what people want. So it's an interesting exercise to do that. Um, and I like that they have it's kind of put out in parts. You have the purple bridges, then you have the scorching painted red skies, and you kind of see it in kind of like these separate little vignettes. What's going on, and I like the swallowed lily frogs and fireflies hymns depart. It's almost like, yeah, it's interesting that you get a bit of like mixing up of the senses here, even though it's not to do with the senses per se. Like, because you have fireflies hymns, Like, what would a firefly's hymns be like? Like, because they're a visual creature, right? With their light, and so yeah, it was abstract for that too. The fact that it presented something that is visual, but it's presenting it in a slightly, yeah, it's presenting it in an auditory sort of a manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this really did have, like you said, a very auditory feel to it. Um, I did like the abstract, almost the surrealism feel that this had. It went kind of back and forth. The first stanza, I was thinking about that song "Sex and Candy" by what is it? Marcy's Playground. Yes, that's it. I was thinking of that song. There's a sensuality to this, but there's a sensuality that comes with an ugliness. It's almost like it speaks of love, but it speaks of a love that is destroyed, especially in those that end lines. Really just amazing imagery and metaphors and captivating lines throughout. I did especially like the second and fourth stanzas. So very well done by Patty Mike. All right. Grabbing the next poem to put up, and all right. Up next, we have Searching for a Foot by Manon. And go ahead, please, Robbie, and give that a read.
All right, there's a poem afoot. Haha, bad pun. That was terrible. Searching for a foot. I filled in shoes with missing soles, pretending, gulping down hardened saliva. Beads of sweat at my Adam's apple glistened. Pain tasted like pride. Toes twitched at the sting of a recluse spider, living in the corners of the worn out leather. Perfect fit, exclaimed the world, pumping me for the marathon on mountains. The path was clear of any wildflowers, weeds, or seeds. Walking the trail, a destiny thinned out into borrowed footsteps. The edge of the cliff was reached without ceremony. The journey of a soulless shoe and soulless self by miles that arrived, like a kingdom searching for a foot. End poem.
Great read there, Robbie. And what an amazing write by Manon. Another pre-write that fits very well with the theme. Um, and you learn a lot when you're barefoot. That's a great connection with that idea. Um, let's see, amazing imagery and metaphors, great consistency in tone. I like how this speaks on taking a physical journey, but it's also the idea of a metaphorical journey. I really like where it says, perfect fit, exclaimed the world, pumping me for the marathon on mountains. The path was clear of any wildflowers, weeds, or seeds. Walking the trail, a destiny thinned out into borrowed footsteps. It feels like in that part, the idea of, because of taking on the encouragement of a world telling you who you should be, you end up losing your way. And the end lines, those have a really strong impact. The journey of a soulless shoe, and I like the word, and soulless self. That is great wordplay. Soulless shoe being SOLELESS, and soulless self being SOULLESS. By miles that arrived, like a kingdom searching for a foot. When you spend too much time listening to other people on who and what you should be, you lose your identity. You lose your what's most important about you. So excellent write by Manon, and very well done. And your thoughts, Robbie?
My first thought was toes twitch at the sting of a recluse spider. Recluse spider? Oh, hell no. I don't have a fear of spiders. I find them fascinating, but I know enough that you do not want a sting by a recluse spider. And that part reminded me actually of how, like, it is almost like it was representing the fear of the unknown, or like the maybe the almost the unexamined. It's like I think like in certain situations, like they say, like when you're going out in the woods a lot, and that like you should like tap out your shoes and things like that, like kind of basically make sure that you don't have any little bugs in there that have snuck into your into your shoes, so that when you put them on, you're being bitten by like a spider or a tick. But yeah, that kind of made me think of almost like a fear or caution of the world. And um, and then you have the world. Yeah, after that, perfect fit! Exclaimed the world, pumping me for the marathon on mountains. And this poem especially had a lot of the life journey sort of a feel to it, where putting on your shoes and going, starting your journey of 1,000. Well, how they go? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Starting that journey, and so it was a nice feel for me of the parallel between a journey that's being started with by putting your shoes on, and then life's journey.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Great comment there. YouTube and I hate shoes. My feet want freedom. I revere being barefoot. It's godly. My toes wriggle, my feet breathe, and when they take me on a walk, it's like, wow, the wooden floor, oddly good, carpet soft, plushy. Stop those naked dogs outside and let my tootsies Step those naked dogs outside and let my tootsies move with pride. Silky green grass, spongy. I can close my eyes and still my bare feet would tell me where I am. Why feel this? The little pinky with sand, the beach is where I am. I always drive barefoot. I want to feel the accelerator, lest I lose touch with speed. Skin lovers unite, going barefoot honors my everyday creed. And poem. Oh, that is such a wonderful response to the topic and to the chosen prompt. Your thoughts, Robbie?
I like the idea of how, because your feet are bare, they're able to convey more information to you about the environment. They really drove that point home here. And I think that does happen sometimes. We forget how things actually feel, what they're like, because we're so uh, just covered, and we our bodies don't directly touch everything. And so I like the idea of how the feet are getting information, like saying, I know I'll with my feet bare, the she always knows where she is. And of course, so, she wants to feel the accelerator, wants to actually feel the touch, the speed. And when I mentioned the naked dogs, it's something I've been thinking about a couple of times here and there, that we kind of like we see that that animals are naked, but we're so used to seeing their appearance and how they appear, that we almost do forget that actual literal physical fact. And like when you think about it, it is surreal, kind of, in relation to how human beings live their life, like that they don't like they're so adapted so different than us, because we would sunburn to death, so badly. We would freeze so absolutely horribly. Like we just have no protection like animals. We don't have the fur, we don't have the anything, right? And it's a kind of a trippy existential philosophical exercise when you remind yourself of the reality, like what it actually means that an animal is naked and that it's going outside without any protection, and it's just fine. They're not suffering.
Right?
Yeah.
Great comment there, Robbie. I was thinking that I was thinking that perhaps it's actually a slang term for feet. I don't know for sure because I haven't looked it up and I've never heard it, but I was thinking, like I made me think of when that, that idea of the idea of cowboys saying, get along, little doggy.
Yeah,
But it does have me wondering if it isn't rather a slang term for feet rather than speaking on literal dogs. Although it could be taking your dogs out for a walk and having bare feet while you do it. I thought this had really strong imagery. I really enjoy how she just speaks up for herself. I hate shoes. My feet want freedom. Um, and the idea of the benefits of touching the grass, even the benefits of like feeling the power of the acceleration when driving. And I get a big smile out of those end stanzas. End lines. Skin lovers unite. Going barefoot honors my everyday creed. That is definitely a wonderful call to going barefoot together. So excellent write by Julie Buck and very well done.
and it's
Well, this has been, oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. I just noticed it's 12:02, but yeah, I saw you're doing the outro, so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, I just figured that I would wrap up the show. We will have 4 carryovers, which will go on the beginning of next week's not after midnight, sorry, Twisted Tuesday show, and that is A. A.L. Phelps, Heavenly Angel, Miriam Kilmer, and Free Verse Agit. So those will be our 4 carryovers. Thank you so much, Robbie, for stepping in and co-hosting with me tonight. I really appreciate it. You are an awesome twisted mister. Jean, I hope you feel better soon. Thank you to everyone who wrote for the show, is listening now, or will be listening later. And especially those who listen on YouTube and in the in the room. We just really appreciate you all. Make sure to join Aphasiana and Robbie in about 25 minutes for part sinner, part saint. And of course, make sure to keep an eye out on the contests and topic boards put up by Late Night Poets hosts and hostesses, because you're sure to find something to inspire. And have a good night, everyone. Have a good night, Robbie.